5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody! Thanks for coming to today's workshop on mastering your altered states with EpiEnergetics. We've got people and animals here, so it's an all beings kind of presentation. So thanks for coming. Today I'm going to teach you some innovation that I've discovered. My teacher, Donnie Epstein, has ingrained in me this very important insight. That if you want to make the most of every moment, you want to get real strategic about what energetics you're bringing to every moment. And at the time when I started with him, I was using altered states to help with my growth. And I found out when I combined the two, kaboom! My growth went radically faster in the direction. And at some point I kept doing it when I was on the medicine using my EpiEnergetic techniques. I got this wisdom bomb. It says like, Jonathan, nobody's doing this. You should tell the world what you're doing and help your fellow humans grow faster. Because we need it during these times. It's a confusing time. There's like the quantum computing is here, AI is here, robots are coming. We need to upgrade the human software, not just to meet the technology, because it's fun. What if you could have more energy flowing through your body and moving right towards your dreams, your peaceful dreams, where not only will you win, but we all win at once. Who wants some of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So what I'm going to teach you is how to do that. So we're going to start right off with an energy exercise, because I talk what I preach, I talk, and I talk in energy. So we're just going to do a very simple energy exercise to coat the field. So I'm going to give you two of my favorite energetics. So the first one, and I love this one, and I thank you, Donnie Epstein, for showing me this, is most people don't realize this, but we're unconsciously, when we go to interpret our reality, we're checking what we thought in the past. What does this remind us of? Which is normal, of course. Why wouldn't we do it that way? But it turns out there's a better way to do it. What if you told your mind, and your mind actually does work a little bit like, some ways, like a computer, a really powerful computer, that I'm going to argue is even more powerful than AI, to connect to the future where you and everyone else is winning at the same time as its first reference point. Instead of connecting to the one in the way in the past when we didn't know what we were doing. You know, and that's what everyone's doing. And when you connect it to the one where we all win at once, then our consciousness reorganizes and gives us different instructions on how to be. Does that sound both rational and creative and important? So I'm going to show you how to do it. It's actually not that hard. So what we're going to do is we're all going to put our hands up and out. And we're going to look with our eyes like out. Out, out. And I want you to imagine the quantum field of all possibilities is right here, right now, and you can connect to a timeline when your soul had the most epic journey, the time of your life, and so did everyone else on the planet. Anyone who visited Earth with you was joining in their best life possible. And I want you to see an image of yourself, maybe, I got 4 years from now, and connect to that version of you right now. That's a real image of a timeline of you on it. Just connect to it with your third eye and imagine that person, you see yourself really happy and there might be a picture, and allow that version of you to send like a beam of energy and hit you in your third eye, and just see the codes coming in. Like you're referencing the future where you kicked ass, and see like all of a sudden after you see you kicked ass, there's like a news thing. And the news are like, as usual, 100% peace on planet Earth. And everyone's thriving, no poverty. Next, let's see what creative innovation and hilarious things happen today in the news. So imagine that you're one of these people who's celebrating and you're watching this fun news, and it's just a different vibration of a planet. And you all played your part. Now that you got these codes, put your hands down a little bit. I don't want you to get too tired. And have all this energy in your left hand. Okay, and now I'm going to tell you the next ingredient. So the last one we're going to put in our energy sandwich this morning is this energy called awaken. What if we all had this ability to just go a little bit higher up and look down so we can see what's going on, to see some patterns that maybe we're missing. Because some patterns when you're at this level, you can't see when you're up. So we're going to bring this awaken thing to take a more meta perspective to find out the thing that's keeping us from making our dreams come true. Got that? Imagine, just give yourself permission to have more light, like your light just got bigger and you can see a bigger picture and puzzle, more awakened, energetic. So now you're coming from the future in your left hand, and your right hand, you've got a lot of energy, a lot of light, so you can see more than you usually can. And with that energy, you can solve problems a lot easier in this altitude, right? So all you're gonna do is feel it, really feel it. You should be feeling really, if you're doing it right, you should be feeling a lot of joy, because it's a lot of fun when you can see this higher altitude view, because you know you can solve all the problems from this view. And you're getting all the good codes from your future self, and now we're gonna blend them. Create this fun, childlike ritual. We're just gonna look at our hands, and we're gonna tell our mind, smash these two guys coming from the future with even more awakened energetics, and we're gonna bring it to them now, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Start to bring your hands closer, closer together, and now we're gonna combine them. 3, 2, 1, boom! All right. Now we're just gonna do one last thing. I want you to take your hands and put them like this. We're gonna find like a circle, and I'm gonna imagine that the camera represents the audience who's gonna watch it in the future. So now we have the energetics of coming from the future awakened, but we're including everybody in the room. So now my presentation, which this is material like I know like my back of my hand, but I get to customize it just for the people who are watching it. I call it non-dual improvisational speaking, and that's kind of what I do. So let's just imagine, just feel let all your energies, put all your conscious and unconscious desires to get out of this presentation, and send them over to me, and I'll receive them like an antenna. I imagine them coming into my third eye like an AI, and they're mixing them all up, and I'll say them in the most entertaining, fun, and educational way possible. And so it is. Nothing else is possible. Put your hands down. All right. So I would like to focus today in the beginning about a little bit of a context, just enough information so we can get to the experiential exercise, where I want you guys to come with me with what's going on to you, and I'm going to show you how to apply what I just talked about. So we only need 3 distinctions to really get into this. So the first one, I'm going to talk about subtle energy, and I'm going to talking about energetics that are happening all the time right now, but you just don't have language to talk about and connect to. So it's this thing is just naming subtle things. It's just, do people understand that as we have more energy, have more power computing, that we can see more and more subtle into consciousness, more into outer space. We just have more power, more coherence. That's all I'm talking about. This is a natural evolution of humanity. So the first most powerful distinction, and honestly, once I got this one, it really was life-altering. Pay attention to this one. There are 2 primordial kinds of energies: unbound and bound. What do I mean by that? Bound and unbound. Let's start with the bound. The bound energy is any energy that already has a form. So anything you can name, label, to discuss, a person, a thought, a feeling, a sensation, an object, is called a bound energy. Now, bound energies are awesome. So are unbound energy. There's no good or bad. It's about using them in creativity, right? So that's bound. And then unbound energy is this free energy that has no form yet. It's just creative energy. Now, most people unconsciously do this. They look at the bound world of objects, feelings, sensations, things that they can name, and then they go back to reference their library of, what did I call that in the past? What did my parents tell me? What is society telling me? What kind of patterns am I noticing? Right? Nothing wrong with that. It's fine. We all have done it. But what if I told you there's some techniques that you could bring this other free, unbound energy, so you could, in your consciousness, you could use this free, and all it does is give you more energy, more ability to see creatively. Who wants a little bit more creativity and energy? Even if it was, especially if it was like really easy to do. So that's all I'm trying to do, is help people have more ability to see multiple perspectives, so we can get stuck. You ever get like a problem where you're like always, you're like, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I keep doing it anyways? You know, I've had lots of things like that. Yeah, well, it's an energy problem. It's actually not you. If you actually learn to use higher energetics, I could show you how to get off that problem. And which is exciting news, because once we get really smart with energy, and what I've learned is that when you apply the right energy to the right where you are in the transformation process, then things go a lot faster. And we're gonna give several people an opportunity to share with where they are at, and I'll show you how to apply it. So the goal here is to, when you need it, to be able to call on this unbound energy so you can get some new ideas about what's happening right in the here and now, so you can be a better you. That's what I'm trying to do. So that's distinction number one. So we're going to show you how to do that. Distinction number two is the word EpiEnergetics, which is the ecological use of energy and information to produce the extraordinary. Ecological meaning, like, if you could cut through and get right to the point of what makes things the fastest, especially when we're in a time where there's a lot of problems, fires, it's like cut to the chase so we can get to the life we want. So ecological is like, let's really be efficient and effective. And so energy and information are the primary data points. Now you could say, like, it sounds very like technological view, but what I'm doing is I'm breaking down how the mind interprets things. It breaks things down into data points, into like every label, every word has an energetic to it. If I say, like, I'm happy, that has a certain energetic. If I'm lethargic, it feels totally different, right? And what we don't really think about it, but every word has certain energetics to it. So what I'm here to do is help people get really conscious to the energetics and stories, and a story is an energetic that's producing the reality. So a lot of people come to me and they tell me their story, and I do like an energetic mirror. I'm like, well, of course you're doing that. Look at what energies you're using. And they're like, oh. And then I'm like, what if you use these energies instead? How do you think that would go? And they're usually like, that would go much better. And so I'm here to teach people so that they can have that ability, so they can live the life of their dreams. All right, one more distinction. It's a little bit more in depth. But has anyone ever heard of the term like multiple intelligences? That there's like, okay. So for those people who don't know about it, some people think, oh, there's only intelligence, like IQ. But it turns out that different people throughout the times have labeled intelligences in different ways. Like, there's like an emotional intelligence, there's an analytical intelligence, there's like some people who are like super intuitive, right? There's like a survival intelligence, and there's like, there are all different kinds of different intelligence. But Donnie Epstein, this guy who created EpiEnergetics, has this model of 6 intelligences that we all have the capacity to leverage. Most people are using maybe 3 or 4, and I'm here to help people see a bigger range of intelligences and get more intelligent about what intelligences are. So listen to this part really closely, because what we're going to do is I'm going to help you see a lot of times the reason why you're getting away is you're not using the right intelligence to get what you want done. So after this part, we're going to go right into the experiential exercises. So the first intelligence is called the survivor. So all of us have this intelligence that like keeps us alive. That's first and foremost. If we're not alive, the other intelligences don't really matter. So it's an important one. However, if you don't use it intelligently, it can zoink your energy. And I'm going to explain to you why, unless you're a super enlightened Buddhist master, you're not using it the most intelligent way. And that's not your fault. It's just because of evolution. And we're going to get to that in a second. But it's a very important thing to understand. So a survivor, when it's really flourishing, it only comes up when we're really in danger or we really need more life force. But the problem is we all programmed our survivor when we were a baby, and we didn't really. So the programs we need as a baby, do you think as an adult maybe you need some different programs? So that's it. There's a lot of stuff in our unconscious that's really preventing us from thriving, and so this EpiEnergetics helps us quickly get access to those old codes and change them. That's why I like it. So, any questions about what I mean by the survivor intelligence?
I suppose survival intelligence is living on that in the state of mind about surviving.
Right.
So it's always perceiving what's in danger, how to get one's food, very simple.
Right. Yeah. So basically, great question. So that's it. The survival intelligence will either just like get your basic needs met so you could do something, or if like they're super dangerous, like look out. But the problem, which is great, so if it was reading this reality accurately in the most intelligent level, then it would be working cleanly. But the problem is we made decisions about how our survivor works when we're like a baby and a toddler, and then we repress it. You know, some of it's from your parents' model stuff, and so a lot of it's unconscious. It's like deeply buried. The actual controls that control that intelligence, and that's what I want to emphasize, is that when people flip those controls around, they become a much different version of themselves. So there's not a lot of energy in survival. It's just like, I gotta hunker down and make it through this. That's not a thriving energy. And so let me explain the other energies in contrast. So then the second intelligence is called the reactor. Now the reactor is about emotional intelligence, and it's about feeling. So if we were like really using the reactor at its highest expression, we would just feel something fully, take it in, and then we'd hand it over to our thinking parts to make sense of it. But because baby and as a kid, our reactor like didn't like certain things, and it decided, I don't really want to be with that feeling, and it making up codes to make certain feelings like super uncomfortable. And then sometimes it decides, I don't really want to be this anymore. Has anyone heard about like the role of trauma and how that messes us up individually or collectively? Is that like a new concept for a lot of people, or most people familiar with that? Like getting a lot of most people
sometimes mess you up.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Some people can do it.
Yeah. So this is what I'm helping people see is trauma is really when the reactor decides, I can't handle what's happening to me, and I don't want to be with it anymore. And what it does is it talks to the survivor, and it says like, hey, I don't want to be, and because I hate this feeling so much, anything that looks like it could trigger that again, make sure I avoid it. You ever have like weird irrational thoughts kind of flyer out, or you see other people do that, where maybe like there's a lot of fear there when you realize maybe you're jumping the gun? Because that's what's going on psychologically, because as a baby or child, or even during a certain traumatic moment, some part of your consciousness has made up a story, a program, that certain feelings at certain levels, like shame at level 10, is a big one. A lot of people don't want to feel that, and so they'll do anything to avoid feeling like that again. Like some sort of humiliation story is a big one. And so what happens is the survivor program will warn you, be like, hey, look out, this could go really bad and you could get super humiliated. And then you just don't take the risk, whether it's true or not. Its job is to do it. And it's actually this survivor program and its relationship to feelings that's really preventing most people from actually seeing the world accurately and being able to really make sense of it, because they're emotionally sabotaging themselves. And it's a species level problem. It's not like just some people's problem. Everybody's got survivor programs, and they affect people in different ways because they have different flavors. But this is why I'm so passionate about it, because this one issue can change the entire human capacity. So a reactor, when it's really, really doing its job, it feels fully without judging good or bad too early. So that's why, like, a lot of the meditations will teach you how to suspend that judgment, to give you a little space between the stimulus and response, so you don't go into reactivity. So the third intelligence is called the lower mental, which is to divide things into good or bad, or right or wrong. And so this is how a lot of people are stuck in only being able to see things through two perspectives. And basically those people, like there's a lot of fighting, like in the United States, left and right and wrong, probably around the world, a lot of people in polarization. It's because people are stuck here. This is the right way, this is the wrong way, and they're very reactive. They're only using lower mental. And so there's a lot of we can't solve the world problems with lower mental. We actually need to get to the higher intelligences. So these first 3 intelligences are innately with us when we are kind of born. Like, we inherently know I like this, I don't like this. But we're doing that like through like not much experience of life, like as a baby, you know. It's like, I don't know, this is my first instinct. Well, it turns out as we get older, we might be able to see things through new information and lenses, which gets us to the 4th intelligence, which is called upper mental, or our multiple perspectives. There's a lot more freedom at multiple perspectives. And multiple perspectives, you know, you can interpret this way or this way or this way or this way. And people who have a lot of ability to do that, they can be like, hey, just because we disagree right here, maybe if we talked about it more, maybe if we get creative, we can think of more in different ways where we can all win at once. But most people, a lot of people have trouble getting that, and they just see things through limited perspectives and they give up real quickly. But it's an energy problem. It's not that there isn't a solution, it's that between those 2 people and that chemistry, they don't have enough coherent energy to get to this place where they can diverge and think of creative ideas and then converge on one that where everybody wins. It's really, all problems are energy problems. All of them. So if we master our energy, we can master the world. And I'll tell you what, I already know how to master energy, so mastering the world is going to be easy. It's just a matter of these ideas spreading. And that's why I'm so excited about the future, because a few little switches here and there, like stop referencing the past, start referencing the future, we're all one. Stop getting into operating out of your survivor, your lower mental. Let's get into upper mental, or to get into the 5th intelligence, the transpersonal, which some people here might know about, but not really around the world. They think it's woo, but there's something called soul intelligence. Now, soul intelligence is this part of you that's like, I call it like a collective, not collective, I mean it's a meta perspective of you. It's like your higher self. There's a part of you that's recording all the data about you, and that's not right here, but it's kind of like gathering data, and most people don't know that you can connect to it directly, and it can guide you. And some people will use psychedelics or meditate to connect to it, and that makes sense because the psychedelics are just energy. I told you it's an energy thing. Or meditations create space between your stimulus and response, and it brings in some unbound energy. I mean, that's all what people are doing and meditating. Why are people who are getting their mind really still having creative ideas and getting unstuck? Well, they stopped doing bound to bound. They started getting into unbound intelligence. So the soul intelligence has this unbound flavor, this free energy that allows for more creative, more novelty. And it turns out, even better, there's one more intelligence called the weaver. The weaver is what I call the collective meta of intelligence. And it's the part of us that looks over and sees everyone and knew that these people need to be right here today to create this. It's the synchronicity guy. It's a coordinator part. And we can connect to the weaver and to the soul consciously and ask them to help us. And it sounds silly, but it works. It's an actual language. If you believe in it and you practice it and you get out of attachment about how it unfolds, it's a very powerful vehicle. And it's not like I'm the first person to invent this or Donnie invented it. He's just summarizing what a lot of other spiritual traditions have done in a very creative way to give very, very tight language so we can communicate with the field and describing it through energetics. And so what I help people do is see they're not getting what they want because they're probably in lower mental, and lower mental is labeling it good or bad. Like, so they're at some point in their life, they've got to a point and they're like, I don't know, I can't do it, I don't know how to do it, you know, or they're judging it's wrong, and there's not a lot of energy in wrong. So, but I help them show that, and then how to use a different energy to overcome that obstacle. And the reason why I'm tying it together with altered states here today is because I do a lot of work with people who are about to do altered states, and if you get their intention really dialed in specific and you use these energy and you take the medicine, holy cow. I started doing psychedelics with a lot of other psychonauts, and I started to talk to them about the results, and just to say I was pushing way further, way deeper than anyone that I saw, and I knew I was doing it differently, and then at some point the universe was like, hey Jonathan, you got to tell people what you're doing so you can share it. This is what the universe tagged me. That think, you know, earlier in my life I was going to be like somebody working with psychonauts to expand consciousness and rapidly learn. No, but you know when you leave your matrix job and you follow your soul, sometimes life takes you in directions you didn't expect. But honestly, it's a super fun life because I just realized how epic life is. And my goggles before doing psychedelics and meditation, I was kind of like here, and then I was like, oh my God, we're all infinity. And when we learn how to grow and evolve, our possibilities are like way brighter than what most people think is possible. Some people think of like, I hope in my lifetime there's peace in the Middle East. I think not only is that going to happen, but we're going to like see some crazy stuff in the most possible way with all these new technologies coming. But I want to include, we have to, each individual who wants to be part of this reality has to play their own part. You can't be a victim and make it everyone else. You got to work on your own mind and your own energy. You own that. You are in control of that. And, you know, there's now teachers like me who can teach people with the internet. If people get attracted to the teachers and they spread, there's no reason with all the other technologies that are coming that we can't. Right around the corner is a much better world that can rapidly push through. Imagine like there's no war and everybody's now a lot more relaxed and they have more time and energy to help people who just don't have enough. So it's like an energy thing. So we've resolved all that part, and then it just explodes. So anyways, that's like the big picture, but I want to ground it for you guys. So what I'm looking for is volunteers. This we'll do one at a time. You come up and I'll show you how it works. It looks like Zeno's very excited. So.
Very excited.
All right, thanks for the volunteer. Yeah, why don't you come up here with me? And yeah, we got a half hour, so let's try and get through a couple.
Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom.
All right. So what kind of situation are you having where you have a lot of motivation? This works best when the person's ready to make a move in an area. Because if you're not motivated to follow through with what I tell you, it's not going to work. So pick an area where you've got a lot of energy to make progress in.
Purpose and direction.
Say again?
Purpose and direction.
Oh, purpose and direction. Okay. Where are you in that process?
Still trying to figure it out where to actually be and where to build it. It's developing confidence and faith in that I can actually make these decisions. Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to point out here, this is a teachable moment for everybody here. Thanks for volunteering. But one of the things, I don't know if you noticed, in your language, you revealed that maybe you're lacking some confidence in pulling this off. Right?
Well, also sort of...
Which is okay.
Well, I think it's also... that I have multiple... I have three different parts of myself.
Yeah.
That are talking and sort of...
Yes.
They don't...
That's a great question.
And they...
Good point.
Yeah, they can contradict themselves.
Yes.
And sort of each other, and they don't really connect very well. So sort of the one's arguing over the other. I get excited about something.
Yeah.
And then I stop.
Yep.
Because another part of myself says no.
Yes.
And sort of that starts attacking the other one. And sort of it's like I don't know.
Great.
So it's that, and it's like then and I like double think to myself. But is this the next position?
Yeah.
Or is it actually here? Or is it there? And then it's that. So I can't. I'm arguing in my head.
Yeah.
Against myself.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So very teachable moment. All of us have parts, like different parts. So you distinguish three different parts, and we'll get back to that. But what happens is that's very common. We all have different parts, maybe even a lot of parts. So a lot of the reason why people get stuck is their parts. There's not enough energy in that part conversation to get to a solution. So we're gonna come to a solution to that. But like for example, when these defensive parts that come up, that's a split. Like you could a part really is like a program. It's like a voice. You know, it's like it's some part of you, like something reminds you of something, and it's playing a role in it. Do you have maybe? Yes. Can we name? Who's the first part? Could you bring through? What's the first part of you that's involved in there?
The one that's very excited about the potential. I think it's very excited.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Does he have a name?
Yeah, Zeno.
Zeno. Okay, great. Great. So you got an enthusiastic part.
Yeah,
I see that in you.
Zeno.
Okay. What's the next part?
Zeno. And that one is that's really wants to be in space of just zoning out, being with nature. That's the Zeno.
Okay.
That doesn't really. That's what I just want to sort of. I just want to be in an empty space.
Okay, so there's one guy who's enthusiastic and wants to get stuff done, another one that wants to just kind of be peaceful.
Exactly, and then there's Zeno, which is very logical.
Okay.
And very, which needs more information about everything. Sort of the logic and rationality.
Okay.
So the one that says we don't see the rationality and logic.
Yeah.
Pure, then I can't really have to be faith in that. So then, yeah, I'm not going to say no.
Okay.
That's it.
Great. So let me. This is very rational. It ties into the model I was just teaching you about. So this guy, this logical guy, he's like part of your upper mental. So people who have a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas. Now, upper mental is also called the optimizer. So an optimizer is always looking to prove something. So one of the things that's good is creating a lot of ideas, but sometimes it also creates a lot of doubt. Because, I could see how that could fail. And so sometimes that guy also creates a worry guy if you got some allergy against failure. And guess what? Probably everybody's got some sort of failure protective thing, like humiliation would be a thing, an idea of failure. I would bet everybody has some protective parts around failure. So there's some, that's very normal. So, and also you got a guy who's kind of peaceful. I think we talked about this thing called the awakened energetic. Awakened energetic is this bliss energetic, this place we all want to go at. So now, but a lot of people think you can only be blissed out when you're just quiet and meditating on a beach. But it's a story. I'll tell you this, you can actually be, what if I told you you could get stuff done, right? And you could have the blissed out peace state, and you could move beyond your fear of failure. Are you interested in that?
It's also sort of saying this is right decision.
Is that?
It's like this is right. It's like saying this is the right decision.
Okay.
It's
yes.
Yeah, on a very sort of logical level. But if I knew that, if I do that and know that this is the right decision to be made, sort of then yeah. But I mean, a lot of life is not about that. Sort of
right.
Everything sort of things that end up in the grey world.
I get it.
And sort of there's objective, but then there's no. Yeah.
All right. Well, what you're describing is like can you see how he dropped into a part here in a story? Like you kind of went back here. You're going back too fast. It's like I don't know. It's all logical, but is there an answer? Like that. You're like there's a defensive part here that's kind of taken over, which is great. You see that. You see like your posture. Remember how we talked about going backwards instead of forwards?
Yeah.
You're moving from the future. Yeah. So what if? Here's the thing I really want to emphasize here is the one most important thing. A lot of people get overwhelmed by all the possibilities in the big picture and then they don't want to take action. And that's a sabotage program. You really, the people who win, look, my whole background, I have a whole degree in an MBA with a focus in organizational behavior, change management. And one of they talk about when you're making transformation, the key is momentum, quick wins. So you really, if you get too far ahead, your anxiety guy is going to go bonkers, and you're just going to be like, forget about it. There's too many pitfalls all over the place. I could fail here, I could fail here, I could fail there, and I don't want to deal with it. Anyone relate to these kinds of feelings? Yeah, and it's normal, and we all do it. So the key is to just all you got to do is figure out the next thing. Right? And all I want to do is it doesn't have to be hard. What if I showed you a quick way to get more energy so you could figure out the next thing?
And helpful.
Okay, great. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 3 quick energies. We're gonna do together. So we're gonna come from the future, right? And then we're gonna bring the soul intelligence. Okay? And then we're gonna activate the season of discover, awaken. So when you're in that state, I'm going to ask you, I'm getting 4 questions, and by the end of the 4th question, you'll know what your next step is. Okay? All right, you ready to do this? So we're going to put put both your hands up, look up and out, and look to your future self. And I'm getting 3 years from now. And just see yourself thriving. You've already taken like 500 baby steps, and now you're way, all these problems you got now are resolved, and you're at a much higher dimensional being. And you can trust that that version of you is throwing you some darts from the future, right? And it's you. You're talking to a future version of you. It's not me, it's not anyone else. This is just your you in a future timeline, okay? And once you feel like you got it, put your hands down like we just did. And now I'm telling you this all because you guys can all do this for yourself too. So now put this is coming from the future. Now you're bringing the energetic coming from the future. Now you're activating soul intelligence. So now your clarity is going to go bonkers because you're at a higher energy. You're no longer referencing to avoid a survival program. You're referencing a guy who's already figured that out, right? So he's way more informed. Before you were referencing a scared version of yourself from your childhood, and now I'm connecting to your more mature, highly energized self, right? So okay, so now we're just gonna go back and forth, and start to bring your hands closer together. We're gonna merge, coming from the future, activating your soul intelligence. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're gonna bring in one more thing. Just to hold it really tight. So here's a connection for all of you to remember, like a take home. When you come from the future and you connect to your higher self, and a part of you that's, think about it, that version of you is already succeeded. It's filled with enthusiasm and wisdom. Of course you're going to want to tell your conscious to reference that part of you instead of the little unconsciously referencing, the child that's still scared, a protective part, which is what everybody's doing. Imagine everybody knew this. All right, now open your eyes. Put your hand in your left hand. Now we're gonna do one more instruction. So now we're gonna do what's called discover awaken. So I want you to get a visualization that you're gonna allow your soul now is not answering. Those other 3 versions of you are kind of watching right now. There's a new like power. Like imagine you like really confident and knowing and in your power. Just imagine power, and you're going to answer it much more smoothly because you're in a new energetic, right? And so we're going to discover awaken. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and you're going to have clarity, okay? So just get a visualization. I'm going to ask you like 4 questions, and we're going to get you your next. You're going to move forward with rapid, confident, transformational energy. So right here, we've got all the coming from the future, soul intelligence, and right here we're going to blend in this discover awaken, so we can get you your next step. Back and forth, back and forth. 3, 2, 1. And let's put the energy between us. Whoa. You give me permission to connect with your soul so I know what questions to ask? Okay, good. All right. I'm going to be bold. Put your hands down. I'm getting there's something you might be carrying around. Is there some memory from 4th grade or something? If I said there's something with failure, does that stimulate anything for you?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
What age is 4th grade?
What is 4th grade, like 10? Yeah, right around, I don't know. I throw that out there. Is there something come up? Just trust your instinct because you're in a higher energy state. Do you mind sharing? Because we all have stories like this. Because I keep coming up with stuff from different parts of my childhood. They're old programs.
Well,
what was it?
Well, it was actually when I was 17, 18.
Okay.
Exams and
okay.
Yeah, just constantly failing things.
Okay.
Nothing else getting to university.
Okay, great. So yeah. All right. Something is getting to acid. Is that so? Every time you go through what you consider like a ritual, spiritualization, a test, you start to go back there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's and you don't like what's going to happen to you if you feel like what if you take a step and it doesn't go well? What does that mean to you?
I get stuck.
You get stuck. Okay. Yeah, you get stuck. All right. So if you get stuck, you probably went like lower mental intelligence into I can't do this. Like I'm stuck. Like that's a stop. You guys hearing that? So what if you every time you notice that, you could talk to the guy who already finished, and because you're going immediately to lower mental I can't do it. And the key for you is actually to get a practice of every time you feel that, to use that as a friend. You turn your worst enemies into your best friends, because now they're a reminder that because you're not that story, you're not the guy, you don't want to be stuck in the guy who's taking exams. I mean, I've had lots of conversations, you're very intelligent. We talked about when I first saw you the first night, I was talking about all the genius things. This guy has like some really beautiful abilities that, you know, you can't capture. It's a different kind of a test. Yeah. Because remember one of the things I was complimenting you on? Because this guy's an amazing networker. He takes risks with consciousness. He's a world traveler. He's a spreader. Now that's not the same skill as, like, you know, taking whatever test you are for a test. Not everyone. There are a lot of different intelligences. So maybe the intelligence you need to thrive to make your dream isn't maybe even the ones you were. You know what I'm saying? Like, your mind's not even connecting.
The topics that I suggested, the topics that I decided to major in. That's what we're doing. It was one-to-one, so everyone's for me.
Right.
And sort of, so I decided upon those, so they weren't right from me. I thought they were good for me, but they weren't.
Yeah.
So that's one sort of me. I mean, so I started biology, geography, and English.
Okay.
But I could have started with actually English, Spanish, and humanities, and now I'm concentrating. But because my biology was such a different sort of geography, didn't feel it.
Okay.
I kept on falling red, and then it succeeded because it wasn't nice to me.
Right. So you know, you didn't know we don't know what courses to take when we're at different ages. Why are we holding on these stories? Everything's about a narrative.
We feel like we should, because
but I want to ground this home in a real practice, and then I want to give some more people a chance to come up here. And so for you, it's a really simple shift. Every time you notice this stuckness and thing, all I want you to do is to put your hands up and connect to the guy who solved it, and let that energy come in. Because you got to it. You see how right away you've made the connection. This failure story, don't go by that guy. Who cares what that guy did? You have already unique gifts that very few people have. It's a unique personality. You know, to manifest your genius, you want to see what gifts you have now and what they need. You know, I could see you as a guy, I don't know exactly what lights you up, but you already have natural networking genius. You know, you already have that. So I don't know where you want to leverage it, but you have other geniuses too. So I want you to, my encourage you is to accept that everyone's a genius. Some people, you know, get 1,600 on their SATs, but other people, you know, succeed in other ways. And so when you think about intelligence, think about like the genius God gave you already. You already have this way of being that's spectacular. So it's just about catching yourself and remembering to get to the new narrative. You got it?
Yeah.
Very cool. The new narrative has the higher energetic and more capacity. All right. Peace, brother.
Peace.
All right. Who else wants to try? Someone else want to give it a try?
Sure.
All right. Come on up, brother. Thank you for volunteering. All right. What's up with you? What's how can I help you?
Can you ask another question?
Okay. Kind of bring something up. We were talking earlier today about finding purpose and passion, right? Is that is that a topic you have a lot of energy to make progress on? Okay. Maybe we should start with there. I don't know that much about your story. Tell us a little bit, and around the audience, about like what you've done already, so I can get a sense of, and what do you think? Because like sometimes for some people, it's like it could be like a failure thing, like a sabotage thing. But sometimes people don't see where they are in their process. You know, like I was talking to a young kid, like in his late teens, and I was like, he was all worried about stuff. I'm like, kid, you're like 19, chill out a little bit, you know. Trust me, I had no idea who I'd be right now, and I'm almost 54. Things change, you know. So sometimes when we talk about altitude, so I need to know a little bit more details about you so I can help you figure out what energetic you're running versus what you need. So why don't you tell me a little bit about where you are in your process of discovery of your purpose and passion.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a background in creativity and arts, but it was a love-hate relationship. I kind of fell into this flow, and then the mind would take over and all the blocks came up. The failure, where's the depth, the meaning, is this what I need, is this what the world needs, like, this kind of battle. So then that fell away. when I just focused on survival, job,
Yep.
house, food.
Right.
Then I had a job that I could be quite isolated and insular because I was small and didn't really like people or feel safe around people. So I had a job that I could escape. And then my journey has led me to, holy shit, I need people, I love people, I need to get out of that shell that I was in, that my own cage. So now I'm trying to step into being in a relationship with people and seeing what that leads to. I don't want a job where I'm hiding from people, I want a job where I'm opening my heart.
Right.
Maybe this is how I do things.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, I left home 14 months ago, so I haven't been working, haven't earned anything since.
Right.
But I'm doing like exchange sort of building and helping like land projects. And I see that as like a beautiful thing to do.
Right.
But I'm not sure if that's, I don't know, I'm on the journey of like, where am I going? Where is my energy
Right.
taking me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we pause for a second? I just want to take an energetic pulse and show you how we're applying some of the concepts. So I heard a lot of different energy things, but something is said to focus on these seasons. So there's these primordial seasons of like discovery, where we got to discover what's going on with us and in the world and find good matches. Has anyone ever heard of the term ikigai? Yeah, ikigai, for those who know, is the match between what do you love, right? What are you actually good at? What does the world need, and what is the world willing to pay for? And notice how energy, it's all about energy, right? If you love something, you're going to be really good at it. You're going to have enough energy, passion for it to actually push through the grit, the obstacles, right? And world needs is good because it's more than just about you. So it's good. It's good if we can find both. And I believe that, you know, and the ikigai you find right now might be different, 5 years later, but you want to find the one that's for you now. But in order to get your ikigai, you have to go through a process of discovering, exploring different things, and then trying things out, and to see if it's the right content or where the right fit is, and then also like what parts of you are possibly getting in the way, because you did mention something about some fears coming up too. So both kind of come into it. There's like a big picture, and also the world is changing pretty quickly. So a lot of people might feel a lot of confusion, but that might not be a bad thing because, with AI suddenly coming, and we haven't even gotten to quantum computing and robots and cool stuff that I'm bringing, and I'm just one person. I'm sure there's a lot of other smart people like me who've got other cool things coming. The world's going to start changing. So if you're not entirely sure what your ikigai is, don't judge yourself for it. That's a sabotage program. That's going lower mental on where you are in your process. It's an energy. It's going to drop your energy. Wherever you are, this is for you and anyone else, it's the perfect place. Perfection is now. Like, what did God want? Well, what's happening right now? Because for me, what is God? God is everything. It's also the combination of all the forces of the universe coming to create this very moment, right? So I do feel a little bit of judgment about where you're at. Did I hear that wrong? So when you notice that, the first thing is just, I would bring a relaxed patience. You know what I mean? Unless you're like in a super fire, you're not eating, like something's like drastic's going. It's like, it takes a while. Like I left my Matrix job, when did I leave? Like November 15th of 2018. It's now 2025. It's been a process for me to get to the stage where I've been working with people for one-to-one for a while, and now I just started working more one-to-many. But yeah, I had to even go through before that. Take you back to 2011. I kind of had a moment where I was like, I don't want to do what I'm currently doing, and it took me some years to even figure out where I am now. It's still kind of unfolding. So for those guys out there who have noticing they're judging themselves, that's lower mental wrong. That's a low energetic. Be a little more compassionate to yourself. So a positive upper mental is like, hey, everyone's exactly where they need to be, and that's actually going to make you a better person. Even the people you don't think you're judging is wrong, they can't help it. I was doing ayahuasca once, and it said, like, Jonathan, everyone can only operate in the energetic that they're at, the context that they're at. It's impossible. It's literally impossible to be outside of yourself. So it's like forgiveness is the path. So starting with self-forgiveness, self-compassion, which is a positive version of the upper mental energetic, whereas most people are going lower mental and judging themselves. And can you see the difference between going compassion with positivity versus where most people are going self-judgment, and then their energy drops, and then you're in a shit mood, and then conflicts come about. So literally this energetic shift from going negative lower mental to positive upper mental with compassion. But once people not only understand it, but integrate that into their being, which doesn't happen overnight, but if we actually realize that will actually change everything, and we focus on it, then as one of the key things to focus on, it's going to change everything. So I want to bring it back to you. So first off, I'm going to offer you to be a little bit more compassionate and be more perfect. See, look, it's smiling.
I was having this conversation earlier, so it's yeah.
Right.
It's perfect.
So what we want to do, like we did with Zeno, is to really just dial in your next step energetically. And I'm getting like, I want to empower you. So why don't you just look up into the future and talk to yourself. I want you to put your hands up. Yeah. Yeah. Was that?
Eyes open?
Yeah, eyes open, eyes open. Always keep your eyes open when you do this exercise. I want you to look forward and outward. And I want you, I'm going to put in some energies. I'm going to do something creative here. I'm just going to throw what's called cosmic memory into your field. And find your God. Look, you start smiling right away. And you look from like a year from now. Like, what do you really need to figure out? Is it the sabotage program that's really gonna sub you down, or have you just not met enough people, or things just unfolding? What do you think you really need? Like, if you had to cut through. What if you trust your first instinct instead of like doubting what you just heard?
Yeah, it's a doubt and a judgment.
Okay, the doubt and the judgment. Put your hand. Okay, so he came with clarity there. So it's telling you that you need to work with the doubt and the judgment, and then everything else will happen after that. That's what's actually getting in the way. Okay. So what is your flavor of doubt? What does it sound like in your own mind?
What's the question?
Okay, great question. All right. So we're just gonna what we're gonna do is we're gonna do an energetic bundle that's gonna address that directly. Okay. So what we're gonna do is put your left hand up. Okay. Think of a time you have a memory like where you were really awake and really alert and you could see what's going. Well, on Thursday when we were in class, you had that. Remember when you were in space? So this is how you this is a trick for you guys out there. He came to my presentation on Thursday, and remember you did that exercise and you told me it made a big deal. So what I taught him was if you get off your story of I'm overwhelmed, I need to question, and instead you make your first instinct to be the space, right? To be this clear space, to be right now, to be really present now, and you shoot past it, and then being this, so I want you to associate, when you remember to be the space, you stimulate this creative, unbound energy that we talk about in the beginning. So let's get this right now. I want you to remember that, okay? And I want, what phrase really helps you remember that? Is it like, I'm consciousness, I'm space, I'm ether, I'm field of awareness? What comes, do with your eyes open. Look out here. So what's the one that comes to you right away?
Well, before you invite guys, the thoughts in my head were learning to decide, just decide. Make a decision and then make another one, but it's a lack of decisiveness that creates the story.
Yes, I agree with you. So I'm giving you, the reason why you're doing this because you're referencing some old story in the past, a bound energy that wants you to doubt. So we want to get past it. So I'm showing you a technique to get past it. All right, so let's just, do you remember that moment where you told me, where you said, hey, all of a sudden I saw my subtle thoughts? Right? Remember that? Okay. Just be that person right now. Okay. You ready to let that guy be in charge? Like, because he's like a step back. You got it? So, yeah. So he's behind. He can see when you're doing it. So give him the key. So I want you energetically. Here, I'm gonna give you a key. Take it. This is a symbol that you're giving. You're stepping up to them. Like you're brave. You're up here in front of the audience, the crowd. You deserve this. Okay. So now you're the guy who operates beyond limited doubt. Okay. So now I'm gonna give you a new instruction. Put your other hand up with the key. Now every time you start to notice yourself to do that rumination, you gotta interrupt it right away. So that guy says to you, "Hey, put your hands up and out and get out of your fucking head." Because if you stay in your head, you're gonna ruminate. But if you're out here and looking towards your future, you got a chance to reset. Remind yourself, I'm this etheric space. I'm right now. I'm not any of the stories from my past. And just let your mind settle, and then come back at it. Got it? All right. So this is all we're gonna do is go back and forth. So the instruction is, now you are the guy behind, right, your soul intelligence, and every time you notice you do this rumination pattern, immediately put your hands, get out of your head, and start to focus on the now and get a new energy. Bring this unbound energy. Okay? So just get a vision of yourself doing it, like seeing yourself going, oh, that thing that Jonathan told me to do. Yeah. So you got to make this a habit. So you got to work at it. Right? So let's go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Start to bring your hands closer and closer together. 3, 2, 1. All right. So I want you to do 2 things to it. I want you to put it to your third eye, and then I want you to put it like right up and out. And then I want you to imagine the last thing, imagining a light coming from your future self. It's always coming through this hole and into your third eye to remind you to constantly do this habit, because once you get this thing down, you're unstoppable, kid. Okay, all your dreams are gonna come true. Got it? Cool. All right. All right. Well, thanks for visiting. It's 5:30, and I know there's another act coming on. So I'll just do a couple of. First of all, thanks everyone for coming. If you have any questions, I'm around here till Monday morning.
Dr. Mozenter.
Thank you. My website is mozenter.com. www.mozenter. I'm about to, on May 1st, I'm starting a year-long course to teach people this. It comes with one-on-one sessions, group sessions. We're gonna do breathworks. There's an app, there's a community. I'm gonna do a webinar on it next, I think, Thursday. So feel free to come up afterwards and give me information if you wanna learn more about me or if you have questions. I appreciate everybody's time. And yeah, thanks, I'll see you around the festival.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have an super energy rich festival.